Well, the federal trial for David DePape, the man accused of hitting Paul Pelosi in the head with that hammer a year ago, is underway. KTVU's Christian Captain was inside the courtroom today as the victim in the case took the stand to testify. Christian.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Paul Pelosi took the stand today for the first time in public to describe the attack that left him hospitalized for more than a week. David DePape is on trial in federal court, accused of attacking Paul Pelosi. Prosecutors say DePape smashed Pelosi in the head with a hammer inside the victim's San Francisco home in the early morning hours of October 28, 2022. Paul Pelosi is the husband of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Paul Pelosi took the stand and described waking up with DePape in his home, saying, quote, "The door opened and a very large man came in with a hammer in one hand and ties in the other hand and said, 'Where's Nancy?'" On the stand, Pelosi said he managed to call 911, but because DePape was right next to him, he couldn't speak candidly. He says when police got to his home, he'd managed to get DePape downstairs. When the police showed up, he said he opened the door and that DePape still had the hammer in his hand. Quote, "I turned and tried to put my hand on the hammer. He pushed it aside and whacked me on the head and arm." Pelosi was hospitalized for more than a week and says he hasn't discussed the assault with anyone but the authorities. The defense did not cross-examine Pelosi. Also in court today, prosecutors played the tape of the defendant when he called KTVU's Amber Lee in January of this year.
"I want to apologize to everyone. I messed up. What I did was really bad. I'm so sorry I didn't get more of them. It's my own fault. No one else is to blame. I should have come better prepared."
DePape's federal trial got underway last week. He's on trial facing 2 federal charges of attempted kidnapping of a federal official and assault of a family member of a federal official. If convicted, he's facing life imprisonment in federal prison. The judge expects the trial to be in the jury's hands by Wednesday. To wrap up later on this week, DePape also faces attempted murder and assault trial in San Francisco Superior Court. We are live in San Francisco. Christian Captain, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Hey, Christian, how was Paul Pelosi on the stand? Did he seem nervous at all? Calm?
You know, interesting you should mention that, Mike. He did not seem nervous at all. He was very calm. He occasionally made some jokes. It was very interesting because as far as I know, this is the first time those 2 men have seen one another, with David DePape sitting in the defendant chair and Paul Pelosi on the witness stand. This would be the first time that they've seen each other since that night. Neither man seemed to acknowledge one another. They didn't seem to look at one another. The best way I can describe DePape in the courtroom was he was an attentive defendant. He would follow along with what his attorneys were doing, and he would look at the witnesses on the stand. But as for Paul Pelosi on the stand, he said that he's nearly recovered from his injuries. It's been about a year, and he says he feels like he's almost back to his old self.
The one for the road. What, was his wife there? Was Nancy Pelosi in the courtroom today?
No, Nancy Pelosi not in the courtroom today. That was one of the issues that had come up, was whether or not he'd had protection at the time, and he'd said that night, because then Speaker Pelosi was not in town, there was not a detail protecting the House.
Got it.
And she was not in court today.
Christian Captain, live tonight in San Francisco. Christian, appreciate it. Thank you.